you're in love, or at least seriously vibing with someone, but then, boom, they say something homophobic. Maybe it's a joke, maybe it's a comment, maybe it's a whole belief system. Now you're stuck asking yourself, what do I do with this? Can love survive when your values clash? Or are you trying to build a future on a cracked foundation? Today, on Vibes and Chemistry, we're talking about a pretty difficult conversation: how to navigate a relationship when your partner is homophobic. Let's get into it. Before doing anything drastic, you need clarity on what you're actually dealing with. Is your partner making disrespectful jokes about queer people? Do they shut down at the mention of someone being gay or trans? Are they against LGBTQ plus rights? Do they call everything they don't like gay? All of this falls under the umbrella of homophobia, but it shows up in different ways. Some people are aggressively hateful. Others are more subtle, holding on to traditional beliefs, throwing around stereotypes, or claiming they're just joking. You can't address the problem until you define it. So ask yourself, what is it that's making me label this as homophobic? Getting clear here is the first step in deciding whether this is something that needs to be addressed or something that requires an exit. Segment 2, where did this come from? Once you've identified how the homophobia is showing up, the next step is asking, where did this come from? Most people don't develop these beliefs on their own. They're inherited from families, faith systems, friend groups, or the culture they were raised in. But here's the thing, upbringing explains the belief. It doesn't excuse it. Still, this context matters because it tells you whether your partner has ever been challenged before. Are they repeating things they were taught, or have they actively chosen not to grow? A person who inherited ignorance might be open to new information, but someone who defends it, even when it causes harm, might not be someone you can build with. Segment 3, the trade-off between vibes and integrity. Now let's get personal. You might really like this person, maybe even love them. The chemistry is strong, they make you laugh, they listen to you, they're good to you in other ways. But then, they say something that clashes with what you believe at your core. This is where a lot of people start to gaslight themselves, saying things like, well, it's just one comment, maybe I'm being too sensitive, maybe I'm overreacting. But let's stop right there. You're not crazy for feeling off about this. In fact, your discomfort is trying to protect you, because chemistry is just one part of a relationship. Values are what sustain it. Ask yourself, what kind of world do I want to live in? Who do I want beside me in that world? If you're someone who supports LGBTQ plus rights, who respects queer people, or who just believes everyone deserves to exist freely, then being with someone who disrespects that will eat away at your peace over time. You'll start avoiding certain topics, filtering yourself, maybe even hiding parts of your own beliefs, and if you're not careful, you'll start shrinking in the name of keeping the peace. But love isn't supposed to make you small. Segment 4, how to call it out without blowing it up. This isn't easy. Most people want to avoid conflict, especially when feelings are involved, but avoidance is how resentment grows in silence. So how do you bring it up? Start with calm honesty. Hey, something you said really didn't sit right with me. Can we talk about it? It doesn't have to be a full debate. This is about opening a door. You want to know what they meant, why they said it, and whether they're willing to look at it differently. Pay close attention to how they respond. Do they get defensive? Do they try to flip it on you by saying things like, you're too sensitive, or it was just a joke? Or do they take a moment, sit with it, and ask questions? You don't have to come in as the expert or try to fix them, but you do need to make your boundaries clear. Say something like, I'm not okay being in a relationship where people's identities are disrespected. That matters to me, because if they can't hear you on this, they might not be able to grow with you in other meaningful ways. Segment 5, what growth actually looks like. Let's say they do respond with openness. Great, but don't stop there, because real change doesn't come from one good conversation. It comes from consistent, conscious effort. So what does that actually look like? They stop making harmful comments, even around their friends. They ask questions instead of shutting down when something feels unfamiliar. They start to challenge the same outdated views they once held. They hold themselves accountable without you needing to be the moral referee. Growth doesn't mean perfection. It means self-awareness and a willingness to unlearn. It also means they stop expecting you to teach them everything while doing none of the emotional labor themselves. You're not asking for a TED Talk on queer theory. You're asking for basic respect and human decency. So if your partner is showing up, doing the work, and making the effort, that's meaningful. That's worth noticing. But if all you're getting are empty apologies, vague promises, or surface-level changes meant to quiet you and not actually reflect a shift in them, that's not growth. That's delay. Segment 6. What will you stand for? We live in a loud world. Everyone has a platform, everyone has an opinion, and it can feel overwhelming just to hold your own beliefs in all that noise. But your relationship, that should be a quiet place, a safe place, a space where you don't have to second-guess your values or shrink your voice. So when you're with someone who holds beliefs that conflict with your core, you have every right to pause and reflect. Not with judgment, not with anger, but with honesty. Ask yourself, can I grow, and can we both grow together? Is this someone who's open to learning, evolving, and maybe even challenging the beliefs they were raised on? Because the truth is, some people do change. They unlearn things, they open up, they become better partners through that growth. But that change has to be something they want, not something you force. So it's okay if you're still figuring that out. You don't need to have all the answers right now. This isn't about walking away or staying blindly. It's about making conscious choices, ones that honor both your heart and your values. At the end of the day, relationships aren't just about who makes you laugh, who you vibe with, or even who you're attracted to. They're about alignment, emotional, mental, and yes, even moral. If you found yourself in love with someone who holds beliefs that don't sit right with you, you're not overreacting. You're not being dramatic. You're tuning into your values, and that matters. Whether this becomes a turning point for growth or just a hard conversation that brings clarity, you deserve to be in relationships where you feel proud of the love you're building. One where you don't have to compromise your integrity to feel connection. So take your time, be honest with yourself, and remember, love is strongest when it's rooted in respect. If this resonated with you, drop a comment. I want to hear your story, your thoughts, or even your questions. This is Vibes and Chemistry, and we're here to help you build love that feels as good as it looks. Until next time, protect your peace, protect your heart, and don't ever settle for less than alignment. Peace.